Hello everyone, welcome to Diplomatic Brief. Just how much does the US soybean industry rely on the Chinese market? Because Trump started a tariff war and China retaliated with reciprocal tariffs, US soybeans lost their market competitiveness. This season, not a single soybean has been exported to China. Facing a bumper harvest, American soybean farmers are not only heartbroken, but the situation has almost become life-threatening. A grain silo in Illinois covered in dust has become a symbol of the crisis in American agriculture, all because soybeans can't be sold. With the excessive backlog, the entire concrete grain silo collapsed under pressure, and the soybeans poured out like a tidal wave, forcing the farmers to flee for their lives. According to a report by NBC in the US, the accident in Illinois was caused by the long-term storage of unsold, newly harvested soybeans in the silo. Cracks had already appeared in the silo structure, and the local fire department had previously issued warnings to be cautious. However, the pressure from the accumulated soybeans was simply too great, ultimately causing the entire structure to fail. From the footage at the scene, you can see this clearly. The farmers evacuated in a hurry while the soybeans poured out like a flood. According to statements from the local police and the fire chief, some farmers had already noticed cracks appearing in the silo earlier. After receiving the report and rushing to the scene, they immediately evacuated the public to prevent any casualties. In the Midwest of the United States, it is currently soybean harvest season, but soybean farmers are generally facing the predicament of having goods but no market. According to U.S. court data, 93 farms filed for bankruptcy in the second quarter of this year, setting a new four-year high. Farmers are not only worried about market fluctuations, but are also being forced to consider ending their family businesses. This silo incident may just be an extreme microcosm of the immense financial pressure faced by countless American farms. In the end, it is still the farmers who bear the cost of the trade war. The United States was once one of the world's largest agricultural exporters, and soybeans were even considered a strategic product. After China joined the WTO, the US once sold 60% of its exported soybeans to China. This stable market relationship was destroyed in just a few years. In addition to the decline in trade figures, long-term trust has also collapsed. Now, most of the soybeans imported by China come from South American countries like Brazil and Argentina, which have rapidly become the new main suppliers by expanding their ports, improving crop varieties, and increasing production. In contrast, America's agricultural infrastructure is aging. Unstable trade agreements and a high degree of external dependence mean that once relations deteriorate, there is no room left for adjustment. For ordinary American farmers, they have no way to influence foreign policy, nor can they cope with the drastic changes in the global market. All they can do is watch their warehouses full of soybeans gradually spoil and watch as letters from the bank demanding repayment arrive one after another. There are even real cases of bankruptcy. The so-called national interests touted in the slogans of the trade war turn into debt and anxiety on the farm. On October 20th, Reuters noted that China did not import any soybeans from the United States in September. This is the first time since November 2018 that imports have dropped to zero. At the same time, due to the ongoing trade dispute between China and the US, Chinese buyers have avoided American sources, and soybean exports from South America to China have increased significantly compared to the same period last year. China is the world's largest importer of soybeans. According to data from the General Administration of Customs, from January to September this year, China imported a total of 86.18 million tons of soybeans, an increase of 5.3% year-on-year. In September alone, soybean imports reached 12.869 million tons, up 4.8% from the previous month and 13.2% year-on-year, setting the second highest single-month import record ever. This also marks the fifth consecutive month after May, June, July, and August this year that China's soybean imports have remained high. Imports have once again set a record high for the same period in history. However, these record-breaking soybean imports are actually disappointing numbers for American farmers. So far, China has not placed any orders for new crop US soybeans and instead continues to shift its purchases to South American suppliers. According to a Reuters report, the decline in import volume from the US is due to high tariffs on American soybeans, and the inventory of old crop soybeans harvested in previous years has already been sold. A senior analyst at JD Futures said that this is mainly due to tariffs. Under normal circumstances, there would still be some old crop soybeans entering the market. As for the trade between China and South America, it's booming. Customs data shows that in September, Brazil's soybean exports to China surged by 29.9% year-on-year. reaching 10.96 million tons. That month, 85.2% of China's total oilseed imports came from Brazil. Argentina's soybean exports to China increased by 91.5% year-on-year, reaching 1.17 million tons, accounting for 9% of the total. From January to September, China imported a total of 63.7 million tons of soybeans from Brazil, up 2.4% year-on-year, and 2.9 million tons from Argentina, up 31.8% year-on-year. Analysts point out that if trade negotiations fail to make a breakthrough as China continues to crush soybeans, if China continues to purchase soybeans from South America, American farmers could face losses of several billion US dollars. According to CCTV's Yu Yuan talks, information from China's major grain ports shows that from January to September this year, the number of U.S. grain transport ships docking dropped by 56% year-on-year, from 72 ships down to 32. This is because since July, the number of U.S. grain ships docking at the ports has already fallen to zero, compared to the same period since May. After that, on average, more than 40 grain transport ships from South American countries such as Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay dock each month. 90% of the cargo on these ships is soybeans. It turns out that Trump seriously misjudged the flexibility and strategic depth of China's trade system. China's reduction in imports of American soybeans is not simply a passive countermeasure, but is based on a supply chain diversification plan that was launched long ago. As the U.S. soybean harvest season arrives, American farmers have lost their Chinese customers. American farmers are now fighting for survival, with panic spreading continuously. They are putting pressure on the Trump administration to reach a solution with China as soon as possible. In order to reduce dependence on the Chinese market, American soybean associations have even gone to Vietnam and the Philippines, trying to persuade local livestock farmers to increase their purchases of American soybeans. However, soybean industry representatives have frankly admitted, we have no way to find a market to replace China overnight. To put it simply, the soybean surplus and warehouse overflow in the U.S. clearly reflect another perspective. The U.S. is highly dependent on the Chinese market, assuming that Chinese companies will inevitably buy their products. The government has underinvested in agriculture, and for decades related facilities have not been upgraded. Secondly, now that the U.S. is in a panic, China remains calm, saying that if they don't buy from the U.S., they can develop more stable agricultural supply chains from South America. Thirdly, in the long run, it remains to be seen whether the U.S. can resume large-scale soybean exports to China. The outlook is also not optimistic. As for the reliability of U.S. politicians' trade commitments, China remains doubtful and will promote a strategy of self-sufficiency. This could mean that in the foreseeable future, American farmers may face the risk of losing the Chinese market. In addition, compared to Trump's aggressive push for hegemony, China's foreign policy continues to promote a mutually beneficial and win-win model, and Hong Kong also plays an active role in the country's foreign exchanges. On October 20th, the opening ceremony of the International Mediation Institute was held. The ceremony was attended by representatives from more than 30 contracting and signatory states of the International Mediation Institute Convention, as well as nearly 200 representatives from various sectors of the Hong Kong SAR. Chief Executive John Lee Ka-chiu and Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Hua Chunying were also present. Hua Chunying said that within just 5 months, the International Mediation Institute achieved the signing and entry into force of the convention, as well as the commencement of operations. Such rapid progress is extremely rare in the history of international organization development. This fully demonstrates that the International Mediation Institute is in line with the trends of the times and enjoys broad support from the international community. The Institute's philosophy is highly aligned with global governance initiatives, upholding reconciliation, cooperation, and harmony, insisting on fairness, justice, and impartiality, and adhering to the principles of joint consultation, joint construction, and shared benefits. The Institute advocates a people-oriented approach and emphasizes practical results, injecting positive legal energy into building a community with a shared future for mankind. It will also help Hong Kong establish itself as a mediation hub. More countries are welcome to actively join and utilize the International Mediation Institute to contribute to the peaceful resolution of international disputes. John Lee attended the ceremony and stated in his speech that Hong Kong will continue to leverage its unique advantages under the One Country, Two Systems framework, supporting the development of the International Mediation Institute and the cause of dispute resolution. Representatives from weaker countries such as Nicaragua, Venezuela, the Republic of the Congo, Kiribati, Pakistan, Kenya, and the Dominican Republic delivered speeches, highly praising the significant role of the International Mediation Institute. They expressed their hope to use this platform to promote the peaceful resolution of international disputes and to contribute to building a more just and reasonable international order. On May 30th of this year, the signing ceremony for the International Mediation Institute Convention was held in Hong Kong. Wang Yi, a member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Minister of Foreign Affairs, attended and signed the convention for China. It came into effect on August 29th. So far, 37 countries have signed it, with 8 having ratified it. The International Mediation Institute will complement existing international litigation and arbitration institutions, providing a new platform for all parties to peacefully resolve international disputes. The establishment of the International Mediation Institute is a China-initiated international organization with Chinese characteristics, aimed at resolving disputes among member states. Disputes and conflicts, thus promoting a global governance approach that values harmony. Of course, China's ability to play a pivotal role in international organizations is also due to its strong capabilities as a foundation